Mara sets the deposition transcript down and then looks at me the way she has been carefully not looking at me for 3 months. The floor lamp holds us both in its warm circle. The city is behind her through the window, blue and distant and indifferent. Neither of us moves toward the door. She says, "You built a better case than some partners I've worked with." Something shifts in the quality of the office's quiet. The HVAC hums low and institutional below us. My hands are in my lap. Then she says, "That's not what I'm looking at, If you want to hear uncensored, too hot for YouTube stories, check out my Patreon in the description. Tell us where you're watching from and subscribe. 3 months ago." That is where it actually starts, and I have to go back to it because I have been in this office for 47 minutes on a night that was supposed to be about a deposition transcript. And in order to understand why neither of us has mentioned the deposition in the last 23 minutes, you have to understand what 3 months of Wednesday evenings looks like when the stakes are real and the woman across the desk from you has never once been careless with anything. And then you have to understand what it means when a person like that starts being careless in ways that are invisible to everyone except you. 3 months ago, I walked into the initial intake meeting of Mara Voss's firm with a 12-month timeline, printed, organized, and tabbed. I had made the document myself over 6 weeks, working at the library's back desk after my shifts, cross-referencing court records with my own calendar and the records I'd kept in the notes application of my phone because I had known, when everything began, that I would need to be able to prove what I remembered. The document was 22 pages. I had printed it on the library's printer the morning of the meeting and put it in a folder with index tabs I'd cut by hand. I was not trying to impress anyone. I did not know then that a human rights attorney of Mara Voss's standing had any particular relationship to organized documents. I was trying to understand my own case because I could not afford to pay someone to understand it for me, and I could not afford to not understand it, not with what was at stake, not with where I was living and what I was still trying not to be afraid of. Mara had looked at the document for 60 seconds. I had counted, not because I was nervous. I was nervous, but that is not why I counted. But because the quality of her attention as she read was specific and still in a way I had not encountered in a professional context before. She had not looked up once in those 60 seconds. She had turned 2 pages and gone back to one of them. Then she had looked at me. She said, "You did this yourself." It was not a question. Her voice was level and direct and did not contain surprise exactly. It contained something more like recalibration, the sound of an assumption being quietly revised. I said, "I had to understand it." She took the case that afternoon. Later, I would learn from the paralegal who scheduled our first full session that this was not how intake usually functioned. That Mara Voss, who had been a partner at this firm for 9 years and a human rights attorney for 12, typically took 6 to 10 days between intake and decision on pro bono matters. That she had 43 active cases and had not taken a new client in 4 months. I did not know this at the first session. I knew it by the third. By the third Wednesday, I had understood several things about Mara Voss. The first was that she was the kind of person who made rooms different when she entered them. Not loudly, not through performance, but through a quality of concentration that other people's bodies registered before their minds did. She was tall and moved with the contained economy of someone who has no patience for unnecessary motion. Her hair was jet black, worn in a low, straight ponytail, and in the 3 months since, I have never seen it worn any other way. Though by late evenings like this one, it has always come loose on the right side, where a strand refuses its clip. She wore dark charcoal blazers and slim dark trousers and white blouses. The first time I met her, the blazer was buttoned. By the third Wednesday, it was open. By the 6th, 2 buttons of the blouse were undone by 9 p.m., and I had noted this and put it in the same mental folder as the glass of water she'd poured at our first session, had poured without asking, set on my side of the desk, and then not referenced. The second thing I understood by the third Wednesday was that Mara Voss found something about me specifically disarming, in the way that things are disarming when they are not what a person prepared to encounter. This was not vanity. This was observation. I am a community librarian. I have spent 11 years watching people's faces when they find what they were looking for, and I know what recognition looks like, and I know what it costs to keep the recognition off your expression. And Mara Voss, who was extremely good at keeping things off her expression, was not always perfect. The third thing I understood was that she was always precisely on the right side of professional, every session, every exchange. The precision was visible, which meant it was costing something. A precision that costs nothing does not look like precision. It looks like absence. 3 months of Wednesday evenings. The case is real. I need to be clear about that because the case is the reason I came to this office in the first place, and it is the reason I am here tonight, and it will continue to be the reason I am here after tonight, regardless of what tonight is, which I am not yet naming. My daughter is 8 years old. She has been living with me since I relocated 14 months ago, after a situation that I will not recount in detail here, because Mara knows the details, and I have recounted them enough to functional strangers, and I would like, at this point in my life, to not perform them again unless legally necessary. The custody appeal is the challenge to that relocation. The appeal is ongoing. The hearing 3 weeks ago was devastating in the specific way that legal proceedings are devastating when the law does what the law can do, and it is not enough. And we are currently rebuilding the argument. I am building it with Mara. I have been building it with Mara for 3 months on Wednesday evenings, with case files between us and the floor lamp on, and the city outside the window and the HVAC keeping its low institutional tone. This is what I came for. This is what I keep coming for. The fact that Wednesday evenings have become the most specific part of my week. The fact that I have, twice in the last month, found myself at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night, pulling out the notes I'd taken at the previous session and reading them in the way you read something that has nothing to do with strategy. These are data points I have been filing in the wrong folder, and I know they are in the wrong folder, and I have not yet moved them. Tonight I came to talk about the deposition transcript. The deposition from last week's witness interview, the one that has a 4-paragraph section that Mara flagged in green, and that I have read 9 times and understand functionally and need to understand strategically. Because there is a use for it in the appeal, and I want to understand what that use is before Thursday's filing deadline. That is what I came for. That is the document on the desk. It has been on the desk for 47 minutes, and we have not discussed it in 23 of them, and I cannot entirely account for all 23 minutes except to say that the conversation moved. The way water moves when it finds the lowest path. From the deposition to the hearing, to the argument we're rebuilding, to the argument we started with 3 months ago. And somewhere in the movement between those points, the conversation became something I could not map onto a strategy session. I am sitting in the chair on my side of the desk. Mara is in her chair across from me. The case timeline is on the desk between us, as it always is. I built it 6 weeks before I came to this office. It is 22 pages in my own handwriting. I had transcribed the printed copy into longhand at some point because I think better on paper, and I wanted to understand it, really understand it, not just reference it. And Mara has had it in front of her at every session since week 1. She handles it differently than she handles the other documents on her desk. I have noticed this. I have not named it, even to myself, in any useful way. The case timeline is present tonight. It is on the desk at Mara's left, inside the warm circle of the floor lamp. My handwriting is visible where the light catches the ink on the top page. 12 months, my daughter's school records, the dates I documented, everything I needed to prove, arranged in the order that would make it legible to a stranger. Mara reaches across the desk and turns the case timeline so it faces me. It is a direction of attention, both hands at the document's edge, deliberate, the way she handles everything, and the document rotates until my handwriting is oriented toward my chair, readable from where I'm sitting, the gesture of someone placing something in front of someone else without saying, "Look at this." Her hands are on the table between us. Her forearms are at the desk's edge. I can see from my chair the specific warmth of the desk's wood surface where her forearms rest, the small radius of the lamp's warmth on her hands. She does not take her hands back. I am aware of this as a timed event. 1 second, 2. Her hands at the document's edge, the timeline between us, her forearms at the desk, her face on the other side of the case files, looking at the document, not at me. 3 seconds. Then she straightens. She sits back in her chair with the contained, deliberate quality of someone returning to a position they chose to leave. My hands are folded in my lap. The back of my neck has gone quiet in the specific way it goes quiet when something has happened that my body registered before I did. And I am telling myself, as I have told myself several times over 3 months, that Mara Voss is precise with everything, and that the way she handles the case timeline is not a category of information I have any use for. I am a librarian. I know what it means when something is filed incorrectly. I am filing it incorrectly anyway. The strongest argument in the appeal, Mara says, is still the continuity argument. Her voice has dropped from its courtroom register. It is not softer exactly. It is smaller, which is a different thing. It belongs to this room, to this lamp, to the specific radius of these 4 walls at 10:15 on a Wednesday, with the building empty around us and the HVAC holding its low note and nothing else moving. She's talking about the appeal. I know this argument. She has made it before. The continuity of care, the documented stability, the 14 months of records that show what my daughter's life has been in the city where we live now. It is the right argument. It is the one that can win. She walks it through with the same precision she always uses, but the precision tonight has a different quality. Not the precision of a courtroom, which is a precision built to be witnessed, but the precision of a conversation, which is a precision built for the person in the room. She's talking only for this chair's distance. For me, the floor lamp is warm on the case file pages between us. The ink in my handwriting catches the light in a way I notice and then notice again. The city through the window is blue, cool, and specific, a secondary light that has nothing in common with the lamp's warmth. I am watching her face. I have been watching her face for 8 minutes. Not the document, not the files, not the deposition transcript on the desk to the right. Her face. The way her expression stays level and direct, even when she is speaking about something that is, underneath the legal language, about what it costs a person to prove they are safe and that their child is safe and that everything they did was for reasons that should matter. Mara Voss has been doing this for 12 years. She has not become removed from it. I do not know how I know this, but I know it the way I know things at the library when someone needs something they cannot say directly. From the quality of their attention on the thing they are using as a proxy, she is using the appeal as a proxy for something. I have known this for at least 6 weeks. She reaches the end of the argument, and she stops. Not a pause for effect. Not the courtroom pause she uses when she is letting a point land. A full 4 seconds of silence in which she sits with the end of her sentence, the sentence just finished, and does not go to the next point. The building is quiet around us. The HVAC turns over low. The city is behind her through the window. Her hands are in front of her on the desk, one holding the edge of a folder, and her face is settled and still in a way that is costing her something. And I am watching, and I am not adjusting. 4 seconds. She sits with the end of the sentence. I am in my chair on my side of the desk, and I am not moving, and the back of my neck is doing the thing it has been doing for 6 weeks every time a session goes quiet, which is to go entirely alert in the way that skin goes alert when it is waiting for something it has learned to expect and is not certain it will receive. The hair at the back of my neck, the inside of my wrists where they are folded in my lap. I am aware of these as physical events, and I am not naming them. I look at my hands. I think we can file by Thursday, she says eventually. Her voice has an edge to it that was not there before. The very faint, very specific edge of a person returning to a register they'd departed. Yes, I say, and then, I know we can. She looks at me. The lamp is between us, warm and directional. She looks at me for a full 2 seconds without the document as any kind of intermediary, and I look back, and neither of us says anything that is about the deposition transcript. Then she picks up her pen and makes a note on the folder. The moment closes, or it behaves like a moment closing. I am aware that what actually happened was something different. That the moment did not close, it paused, the way water pauses at a threshold before it finds the edge, and that we are both on either side of that threshold, and have been, I am beginning to understand, for considerably longer than tonight. I look at the case timeline on the desk, my handwriting. 12 months. 12. Everything I needed to prove, in the order that makes it legible. I built that document because I had to understand what had happened to me. I needed to see it laid out. I needed to be able to point at it and say, here, here, and here. These are the facts, and they are in this order, and the order matters, and I know them. I look at the document, and I think about what I understand now that I did not understand when I built it. Not about the case, about the other thing. The other thing I have been building, in the same careful order without being aware that I was building anything. I say, 3 months ago, I came here because I needed help. Mara is still, not the stillness of someone listening, the stillness of someone who has been waiting for a sentence without knowing they were waiting and who is now processing its arrival. I don't know how to explain what I come here for now. It is the most precise thing I have said in a professional context in 3 months, and also the most honest thing I have said to another person in longer than that. It is the kind of sentence that, once said, cannot be retrieved. I know this. I said it anyway. I said it because the alternative was to leave this office having not said it, and I have left this office without saying it 23 times. And at some point not saying it becomes a kind of dishonesty that I cannot maintain without noticing. I am a librarian. I believe in accurate records. The silence in the room after the sentence is its own kind of sound. The HVAC turns over. The city is behind Mara, through the window, blue and distant. The floor lamp holds us in its warm, specific circle. I can hear the quality of the silence, not the absence of sound, but the presence of it. The weight of a room holding a thing that has been said. Mara does not move for 2 seconds. Then she does. She leans forward. Both forearms on the desk, which brings her face from the chair back distance to the case file top distance. Close, closer than she has been, the distance reduced suddenly and deliberately, and without a word of explanation. The angle of her face changes. She's not at the elevated remove of the chair back posture. She's at the near distance of someone who has decided in a specific second that the distance between them was one of the distances she was maintaining on purpose, and that she is now choosing not to. Her face is closer than it has been in 3 months. I can smell her from here. I have always been able to smell her at proximity. Cedar and cold linen, something slightly warm underneath. The specific scent of a person who has been in a heated office for 12 hours. But at this distance, it is different. It is not ambient. It is direct. I do not move. She reaches to the desk, and she sets her hand, open and flat, on my side of the case timeline, her palm on the page. On my handwriting. On the 12 months I documented, the facts I needed to see laid out. Everything I built so that I could understand and so that someone else could understand. Her palm, warm and flat, on the paper where my handwriting runs. She leaves it there. Her hand is on the page, not on my hand, not reaching for my hand. On the page, but the page is my handwriting and the handwriting is mine, and her hand is on all of it, flat and warm and still, and she is close. Close enough that I can hear the specific quality of her breathing, which is controlled and slightly too careful, which tells me something about what it is costing her to hold this position. I look at her hand on the page. I look at my handwriting underneath her palm, the dates, the documentation, the proof I built because I needed to prove it. I look at her hand. The lamp is warm on both of us. The city is behind her. The building is empty around us, and the HVAC holds its note, and there is no other movement, and the office has the specific quiet of a space that is emptied around 2 people who are no longer doing what they came to the room to do. I say, "Mara," she says. Yes. Not yes, as in, go on. Not yes, as in, I am listening. Yes, as in, I know. Yes, as in, I have been here for 6 weeks, and you are the only person who needed to say it. Her hand is on the page, still, warm. Her face is at the case file top distance, close, the lamp catching the specific angle of her cheek, the line of her jaw, the place where her ponytail has come loose on the right, and one strand of black hair is against her neck. I do not move toward her. I do not move toward her because I know that if I move toward her, I am making a choice that involves more than just tonight, and I need to know that I am making it clearly. And I need a moment inside the 4 feet, and the lamp and her hand on my handwriting, and the 23 Wednesday evenings, and the glass of water she poured without being asked. I need a moment to be sure. She holds still. She is holding still with the specificity of someone whose body wants to do something that her mind is waiting for permission to allow, and who is giving me the time to give that permission, and who is doing all of this without saying any of it. Because she is Mara Voss, and she has been a human rights attorney for 12 years, and she knows what evidence looks like, and she knows that you do not have to name something for it to be admissible. The quality of her breathing, I can hear it at this distance. It is careful, and it is not quite even. I can hear the exact place where it is not quite even. A very slight shortening at the intake, the way a breath shortens when a body is holding more than usual, when a person is very still on the outside and everything else is not. Her hand is on the page. My handwriting is under her palm. The lamp is warm. The city is behind her. The building is empty. I say nothing for a long time, and the nothing is not empty. It is full. It is dense. It is the weight of 3 months of Wednesday evenings and 23 sessions, and the glass of water on my side of the desk at every single one of them, and the way she handled the case timeline differently than she handled anything else, and the 4-second pause at the end of the argument tonight, and the way she looked at me when I walked in 3 months ago and said, in the flat tone of someone recalibrating, "You did this yourself." I knew even then. I filed it incorrectly. I have been filing it incorrectly for 12 weeks. I have been very precise about filing it incorrectly in the specific way you are precise about something you are not ready to look at directly. I am looking at it now. I look at her hand on the page. I look at her face at the case file top distance. I look at the specific warmth of the lamp on the angle of her cheek, the loose strand against her neck, the white collar of her blouse, 2 buttons undone, the way it has been since 9:15 tonight, the dark of her blazer in the ambient dark of the office, the city's blue light through the window behind her, cool and secondary, the contrast specific to this hour and this room. I look at her breathing. I can see it, the small, careful movement at her chest, the controlled rise and fall that is slightly too controlled, which is the same thing as not controlled, which is the same thing as a person on the other side of a threshold, deciding whether to step through. I have been here before, not in this room, in the architecture of a decision, in the specific moment before the moment. I know what it feels like to make a choice that goes into the permanent record. I know the difference between a choice made out of fear and a choice made out of honesty. This is the second kind. I stand up. The office geometry rearranges. I was at my chair on my side of the desk, and now I am standing, which puts me at the corner of the desk, which is 3 feet from Mara, who has also risen without my registering the movement. She is standing at her side of the desk, and we are both beside the desk now. And the configuration is different from every previous configuration we have been in for 3 months of Wednesday evenings, and the floor lamp is behind us both now, casting our shadows long across the floor toward the window. The case files are to the side. The deposition transcript is somewhere on the desk. The case timeline is on the desk, with Mara's handprint warm in the paper, her palm's pressure still in the page, the document of everything I built and what it cost me, visible in the lamp's warmth where it catches the ink. We are standing beside the desk, between the desk and the window. The city is behind the glass. The lamp is behind us. The room is small in the way rooms become small when the geometry has reduced to 2 people standing close. The space between them, the only space that matters. She's 6 inches from me, maybe 5. I can smell her very clearly at this distance. Cedar and cold linen, the warmth under it, the 12-hour office warmth of a person who has been in this building since 8 this morning. I can hear her breathing. I can hear its quality, the specific quality of a breath that is under more management than usual. She says, "Tell me what you came for tonight." Not, "Tell me about the deposition." Not, "Should we look at the transcript?" "Tell me what you came for." Her voice is at the near register, the register that belongs only to these 4 walls, smaller than the courtroom, smaller than any professional context, built only for the distance between us, which is 5 inches and is now 4.5, because she has not moved, but neither have I, and proximity has its own physics. I look at her face. The lamp behind me is warm on her, catching the angle of her jaw, the specific quality of her stillness. Not absence, presence. The presence of someone holding something carefully and waiting to know if they should set it down. I reach out. I take the hand she set on the page. Her hand is still at the desk's edge, at the case timeline's corner, and I reach out and I pick it up from the paper. Her fingers are warm. The heel of her hand is slightly cool at the edge, the specific cool of the desk's surface transferring, and then warm. Warm all the way through. The warmth of her hand in my hand, which is where her hand now is. She goes completely still. Not the stillness of someone startled, the stillness of someone who has been waiting for a specific event and who, when it arrives, needs a moment for their body to understand that it has actually occurred. Her hand is in my hand. I am holding it. The quality of the contact is very specific. Her fingers against my palm, the exact temperature. Warm, warmer than I expected, or exactly as warm as I expected, and unexpected because expected things are still different when they arrive. The texture of her skin, the slight roughness at the base of her index finger from the pen she holds for hours every day, the weight of her hand in mine. She does not pull away. She does not move toward me. She holds still. 1 second, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds of her hand in mine, and the lamp behind us, and the city through the window, and the HVAC holding its low note, and the office in its specific midnight quiet. And her hand is warm and still, and her face is 4 inches from mine. And I can hear her breathing, which has changed, not the careful, managed breath of a moment ago, but something different, something less managed, something that says, I have been holding this for longer than tonight. And then her other hand comes up. It does not come to my shoulder. It does not come to my waist. It comes to my face, to the side of my face, her palm against my cheek. Not directing, not angling, just staying. The specific gesture of a person who has been careful with their whole life and is, in this moment, choosing to be careful with something different. Careful with this. Her palm against my cheek, cool at the center from the office air, and then warming, the warmth spreading from the contact point outward. Her thumb at the edge of my jaw, very still. She stays. That is the sequence. The contact, her going still, and then her other hand to my face, and then her staying. And the staying is the most expensive thing in the room, more expensive than anything filed in court. More expensive than anything on the desk, because staying means she has chosen it. She is choosing it right now in real time with her eyes open. And she is Mara Voss, who has been a human rights attorney for 12 years, and who has been careful with her whole life. And she is choosing to not be careful with this. She has not lost anything. She is choosing to put it down. I can see that clearly, that it is a choice. That she is fully present in it, fully aware that her composure has not shattered, that she has, deliberately, precisely, in the way that she does everything, set her composure aside for this specific moment, in this specific room, with this specific person, who came in 3 months ago with a 12-month timeline tabbed and organized, and said I had to understand it. Her palm is warm on my cheek, her face is close, 4 inches, 3. I can smell cedar and cold linen very specifically. I can hear her breathing, which is no longer under any kind of particular management, which is the sound of a person who has been managing something for a long time and has, in a deliberate and witnessed moment, stopped. Her thumb is at the edge of my jaw, still, not moving. I look at her. She looks at me. The city is behind the window, blue and specific. The lamp is behind us, warm and directional. The shadows we cast stretch long across the floor. The HVAC holds its note below us, indifferent and institutional. The case timeline is on the desk beside us, my handwriting visible in the lamp's warmth where it catches the ink on the top page. Mara's palm print warm in the paper where she set her hand. The document of 12 months and everything I needed to prove and everything I built because I had to understand it. It is on the desk. It is not the most important thing in the room. I think 12 weeks of Wednesday evenings, 23 sessions, the glass of water on my side of the desk at every one of them. The way she handled the case timeline, the 4-second pause at the end of the argument, the 60 seconds she spent on my document before looking at me and recalibrating. I think I have been filing this incorrectly for 12 weeks. I move the remaining 3 inches. The contact is very specific, and I will not describe it in the terms of something that swept either of us away, because it did not. Because it was not that kind of moment. It was the kind of moment that arrives only after 12 weeks of precision and care, and everything filed correctly, except the one thing that mattered, and when it arrives, it is not a sweep. It is a recognition. A finally. The kind of finally that has been building so long that when it lands, it has the weight of everything that preceded it, all at once. The full accumulated pressure of 23 Wednesday evenings, and everything neither of us said, and everything our bodies did without permission. Her palm is against my cheek. Her hand is in mine. We are standing beside the desk in the office that has been emptied around us by the hour and the building, and the lamp is behind us, and the city is ahead through the window, and the case files are to the side, and the case timeline is on the desk with everything I built visible in the light. I can feel the warmth of her hand on my face, the specific warmth of it, the thumb at my jaw, still. The quality of her stillness, which is not the stillness of restraint, but the stillness of someone who has arrived somewhere they intended to arrive, and is now fully, precisely present in it. This is what controlled release looks like. Not a collapse, a choice. A deliberate, witnessed, present tense choice. To put down what she had been carrying and to stand here instead, in this room, with me, and let this be the most important thing in the room. She says nothing. I say nothing. The HVAC turns over. The city holds its distant blue light. We are standing in the lamp's warmth, and the building is empty, and the quiet is the quiet of a space that has contracted to contain exactly 2 people and nothing unnecessary. She does not ask me what I want. She does not ask me if I am sure. She is Mara Voss. She reads documents. She reads evidence. She has been reading this one for 12 weeks, and she knows exactly what it says. Her thumb moves once at the edge of my jaw, not directional. Not an instruction. The smallest possible movement. The kind of movement a person makes when they have been holding very still for a very long time and their body has finally been given permission to be a body. I close my eyes. The warmth of her hand on my face. Cedar and cold linen very close. Her breathing, which is the breathing of someone who has stopped managing. I am here. I am entirely here. I am not thinking about Thursday's filing deadline. I am not thinking about the deposition transcript on the desk. I am not thinking about the 23 previous sessions or the 12 weeks or the case that continues tomorrow. And it does continue tomorrow. And we both know this, and neither of us is inside that knowledge right now. And we do not have to be. There is a specific kind of document that cannot be filed in court. I have been building it for 12 weeks without knowing I was building anything in the careful and unglamorous way that I build things. By understanding what happened, by putting it in order, by being able to point at it and say, here, here, and here. These are the facts. The order matters. Here, here, and here. The next morning, there is a specific quality to the Wednesday that has become Thursday. The case timeline is on the desk. It is still there. Mara's handprint is in the paper where she set her palm. A warmth the paper no longer holds, but that I remember with anatomical specificity. The heel of her hand, the warmth of it. The way it spread from the contact outward. I can see, from the chair where I am sitting, the lamp's warmth on the pages of the document. My handwriting. 12 months. Everything I needed to prove, in the order that makes it legible. Mara is sitting across the desk. The blazer is on the chair back. The white blouse has 3 buttons undone at this hour. Her ponytail has come fully loose on the right side, the strand against her neck. She has a pen in her hand and a folder open, and she is looking at the deposition transcript. She says, "The Thursday filing, I want to lead with the continuity argument." Her voice is at the near register. The register that belongs to this room and this lamp and the specific distance between our chairs. "Yes," I say. I know that's the right move. She does not look up from the transcript, but her hand, the hand that set itself flat and open on my handwriting for the full length of a held breath. Her hand, which is now holding a pen over the folder, pauses. 1 second. She does not look up. But the pause is there. The pause is in the room. The pause is the most honest document between us, and it is not filed anywhere. And it does not need to be, and we both know it. And the case continues today, and this also continues. And the difference between them is not a distinction either of us has to explain. The case timeline is on the desk. My handwriting is in the lamp's warmth. The city is beginning outside the window, blue shifting to morning. Beside the case timeline, where Mara's hand rested last night, is the glass of water she poured at the beginning of the session. She had set it on my side of the desk without asking, as she has done at every session for 3 months. I have never thanked her for it. I have never had to.